Hello, WFG community. I wanted to talk to you today about a subject called waiting to live. It's something that we really do often, and we don't even realize it. In fact, on Monday, we had a visualization and touched a little bit on the topic, and it's a very powerful visualization, but this is going to expand on things a little bit more because our brain is a beautiful thing. It's also a very compartmentalized thing. We naturally compartmentalize our brain for our own sanity. To be honest, it's just an important thing to think about some past events and put them in this pocket. We think about an emotional pain, we put it over here. We think about work, we put it over here. We think about our personal life, we put it over here. And there's many other compartmentalizations depending on the person, depending on the life experiences. There's all kinds of different compartments. And it's understandable to have these. However, here's what that natural compartmentalization can, or maybe even has done, most likely has done for you. When you think about work, work is work. Understandable. Then you have the home, which is the home. And we are striving for work-life balance in the busy times in our lives, and with a very successful company, it may be tough to find that work-life balance. However, we can do it. But still, in the mind, there's that separation, that distinction. What that leads to for all of us, no matter how long you've been in business or working, no matter where you've been working, it leads to this thing where we have work be this thing we have to do for somebody else typically, and then this thing that we do for ourselves at home. Or for some people, it's working for somebody else and then coming home and working for your children or your family. It's kind of crazy. But what that does to the mind is that we wait. We go to work and we wait to be fully. We wait to show up in our happiness, our joy. We wait to relax. We wait to feel centered or calm until the evening. Once we get home, then we can relax. Or once we get to the weekend, then we can just enjoy ourselves. Or you know what? When I get to that vacation, I'm gonna finally feel like I have some peace. Well, that's waiting to live, waiting to be until something else. And it doesn't stop there, because this concept of waiting to live can go into, well, I gotta keep working so I can keep making money. And once I get to this final dollar amount in my bank account, then I'll feel secure, or I'll feel like I have some stability. Once I get this promotion or raise, I'll feel more value or accomplished, or I'll feel like I matter. Again, normal things that the brain does, but we do not realize how much this really wreaks havoc on our own beingness and how we show up in life. So we want to make sure that we understand what this waiting does and do some things about it to change us. So the waiting essentially is disempowerment. That's what it does, is it disempowers us of living fully in the moment because we have to wait until some parameter. Being of value, being enough in the moment until we get to this goal. And it doesn't really matter if you're in sales or if you're someone who's a beautiful support or an admin person or somebody in the executive team. There always seems to be some mentality, because we are beautiful human beings trying to always go to the next step, that until we get to X, then we won't feel like we're enough or successful. So today I want to challenge you to think differently. And something I said on the call was owning yourself in the business you're in. And here's another thing the brain does. The brain puts certain value to things. It puts certain constructs to things. So if you don't own it, so to speak, then there's not as much value there for you, because it's really, you're working for somebody else, but in reality, you're working for yourself, because you're showing up for you, you're living for you, you're being for you, and the money that you're getting for the exchange of time and services is creating the very life that you want. And what's crazy about that is we spend so much time working. In fact, we'll spend more time working than being at home, being with our family, our spouses, our friends. Work is something we do so much. So if we are thinking about work in this construct of, well, it's for somebody else, then we're basically living most of our lives for somebody else and not for ourselves. And that's a psyche that we do not want to be in, because when you own yourself in the business you're in, when you own yourself in this beautiful space in life, no matter what's going on, quite honestly, it ends up being so fulfilling for you. And what you will find is that really when you own the bigger experience and you show up, and whether it's paperwork, so if you have to do a bunch of forms, or if you have to manage a client database, or service escrows, or service a team, or even go out and sell, whatever it is, you're not doing it for somebody else. You're not doing it to make somebody else money. You're doing it to evolve and empower yourself. But you'd have to think that first. You'd have to think about what that looks like or how that feels. So when you look at anything in life, if you see it as an opportunity to grow, evolve, connect to self, then you're gonna live much bigger in it. If you feel like it's something that you get to own, you're gonna feel much more empowered in it, and that's a beautiful experience. Oftentimes people who rent a home versus buy a home feel like they have more ownership, and really, they could have felt that all along. Whether you're leasing a car, you own a car outright, there's this sense of control or ownership, or the illusion of, because all that stuff can go away in a big storm or in an accident or whatever else. So when it comes to owning yourself, when it comes to owning the experience, it's all right here. So what we want to do now is focus on that, owning yourself and the experience that you're in, owning yourself, owning the business. So when you get that paperwork, when you get those files, when you have this metrics where you have to hold yourself accountable, or you have somebody holding you accountable, it's really just an opportunity for you to empower yourselves. And what that means is, can you have fun by doing the same old thing you've done for the last month, 5 months, 5 years, 10 years? You got to decide right now in this moment. Well, you don't have to, but if you want to live more empowered, you'll want to decide right now in the moment that instead of letting the paperwork own you, oh, I dread this paperwork, oh, this is such a grind, or oh, this is so monotonous. Basically, you're giving your life away. If you're gonna have to do the paperwork anyway, if you have a metrics to fulfill, if you've got a job that you're gonna work regardless, because whether it's just job or another job, that gives you the abundance to live a bigger life with a house and a car or whatever else it is for you, well then you might as well just show up where you're at, right? I mean, what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose when you think about taking the power back? Instead of things that are monotonous, find your inspiration of feeling fun or feeling empowered or feeling happy. And something I have told clients before, in fact, I had a client who was really searching for happiness, and in a very classic way, I just said, well, if you're looking for happiness, you have to go where it's not. That's the only way you'll know if you found true happiness. Because if you look for happiness in a tropical vacation, you're probably gonna find it because you're in an variable or a circumstance where you're getting maybe all your drinks taken care of and someone's waiting on you hand and foot and there's massages and a beach. Most people can find happiness with all of that. But what if it's somewhere where happiness isn't? Well, then you have to create it. Well, what if you created happiness within your paperwork? And typically monotonous, boring, filing, paperwork kind of stuff, typically happiness isn't there, but you can bring the happiness to it. Now, it sounds silly, right? But it's not actually. Because if you can find happiness within everyday life, then when you go on that vacation, you bring the happiness to the equation and you only magnify what is there. You don't look to take what is there and make it mean something to you. You bring the meaning to whatever the experience is. And that's the great equalizer in life, bringing the fun, bringing the happiness, bringing the life, the joy, the empowerment to whatever the experience is. It's a really cool thing. And it's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart because I've had to figure that out for myself, to bring the happiness no matter where I was at, to live big no matter where I was at, and to find myself through something as simple as sweeping a floor or painting some wood or sanding a floor. It's amazing because when you can find and bring when you find the happiness in self, the joy, the empowerment, the ownership of self, and then you bring that to whatever the task is, life becomes so much richer. Life becomes so much more magical. So I am going to ask you to do that today. Think about that, feel big in that, feel empowered in that, feel alive in that. Because if you do, if you bring all of that to the equation and you own yourself in the business you're in, then you're going to just own your life and you're going to equalize. And while you'll still want work-life balance, just from a functional standpoint, you'll have unilateral happiness. You'll have unilateral awakeness, and you'll have unilateral showing up for yourself and being free and being happy and being joyful. And that's what we're going for. And so have a great day. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon.